is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And here we are. It's Browns Week inside the SWBC podcast studio. And what a great way to kick off a new season.
Yeah.
Producer Supreme on top of his game.
Like they say in the club, this is my jam.
Let's just pause for a moment and take it in. Oh, yes.
Memories.
Bring in my Cowboy Joe hat on Friday.
That's a good idea. You know, that's the Cowboy Joe hat's making the rounds.
Yes.
It's a very popular cap now these days.
And on T-shirts and sweatshirts.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. So, and the Cowboys are headed to where on Cleveland?
Huntington Bank
There you
Stadium.
go. We are in sync here. This breaking news from Cleveland.
Okay.
They renamed the stadium, the naming rights deal, Huntington Bank Field. Right?
Field.
Nice.
Okay, I said stadium. It's field.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's the news from Cleveland. And by the way, as I try to do when it's game week, is I try to go behind enemy lines and listen to enemy radio stations, and I guess they're not very fired up about this game because this morning they're talking all Cleveland Guardians baseball in
What?
Cleveland and not Cleveland Browns
Are they
football for some
playing well?
reason.
Well,
they're in first place. And they got a big
You
series.
got to grab something.
And
bro.
they got a big series against Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals starting tonight, I guess. But I'm sitting there going, okay, give me some insight on the Cleveland Browns, and I got nothing but Cleveland Guardian talk coming in.
Well, I got one for you.
All right.
I looked at the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the newspaper.
They still have a newspaper there. That's good.
Yeah, not a lot of writing. It was a lot of podcast stuff that you had to listen to.
Uh-huh.
But their starting
Welcome to
left
this
tackle, or the one they were counting on,
Jedrick Wills.
Jedrick Wills, he had been on PUP all training camp because he was recovering from last year's knee surgery. And he has yet to practice, and they don't think he's going to be ready to go for, at least the paper didn't think he'd be ready to go for Sunday's game. And the Browns are contemplating moving right tackle Jack Conklin, a veteran, to left tackle. And he hasn't played there since his first 2 seasons in the league, 67 total snaps. He's been a right tackle, but he too is returning from a knee injury, and they're worrying about what? How are they going to block Micah Parsons?
Conklin only played 1 game last year at right tackle for the
Yes.
Cleveland Browns. And so, as much as we will talk this week about Tyler Guyton versus Myles Garrett.
Right.
In Cleveland, they're talking about what are they going to do about Micah Parsons.
And it just kind of dawned on me. I said, let me check on them to see, because they've got to have some worries. No one starts the season perfectly okay, right? You always have something to worry about. I saw where the Chiefs are starting a rookie left tackle, Kingsley Sumatea.
Go ahead.
Did
That's
I
fine.
get it?
That's
Is
fine.
that close enough?
Which
Go for
one?
it.
Yeah.
Tahir or
Sumatea.
Tahir?
Yeah.
From BYU.
Yeah, and they're a little concerned that they got to start a rookie left tackle. And so it's around the league. Everybody's got a concern, right? So when you were talking about going behind enemy lines, and I saw that and if it's not Conklin and they want to leave him on the right side, I'm sure you're all familiar with the work of James Hudson III, because he would be the next alternative.
Oh, yes. I'm
at
sure
left
we
tackle.
are aware of him. Yes.
Well, I have 2 grandsons named James and Hudson. So
There you
what
go.
I think of
There
when
you
I
Well,
go.
put him out there.
There you go.
And he, by the way, was a 4th-round pick in 2021 and started 7 games last year with Conklin going down. So there's a little tease there on Cleveland on offense. You don't want to hear about the Cleveland defense, though.
Yes,
because this was the top defense in the league last year, and they've returned basically everybody, and they've added a couple of pieces as well. And
it starts up front, right? Myles Garrett.
Yeah, well, yeah, they've got stars at 3 levels, and you'll love their secondary. They got a guy named Denzel Ward, who was the 4th pick in the draft, who's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and Martin Emerson, their other corner, is a budding Pro Bowl type player, and Grant Delpit and Juan Thornhill at safety, but the guy that I love, Myles Garrett is. I mean, it's obvious he's a defensive player of the year in the league last year, but it's the joker at the second level, and that is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who the Big Green Notebook loved him coming out a couple of years ago, and he made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career last year. Okay. Number 6. You got to watch number 6, and you got to be concerned where number 6 is, because he had 20 tackles for loss last season.
Wow.
And he is
that is a lot.
The thing about him coming out is he played at Notre Dame, and he was a playmaker there too. But he's 6'2" or 6'1", 220 pounds. He's kind of a tweener between a safety and a linebacker. But you could just see the instincts. And now they have, with Jim Schwartz there, they have figured out how to use him. And he is basically playing linebacker, and he's playing at a very high level. But his ability to blitz, so when you least expect it, his quickness to get to the backfield it just jumps off the screen at you.
So he's kind of similar to, I'm going to forget the guy's name, the guy that played safety for the Steelers with all the
Troy Polamalu.
Troy Polamalu. I remember
although he is a linebacker,
right?
JOK is a linebacker, but he's got that. He's only 220
kind of that
pounds.
safety play with your hair on fire. I remember Bill Parcells says, "Well, the problem with that guy is he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. So how do you prepare for him? He's going to just do something different all the time because he's a football player." So, well, you think they're worried that they got to face the number 5 offense from last year and the number 3 passing offense from last year,
they better
and the
be.
Top quarterback from last year.
They better be. That's all I'm saying. I ain't afraid of you. If I'm the Cowboy offense, that's what I'm thinking. I ain't afraid of you. Matter of fact, they need to be taking a look at our defense, because their offense, from what I recall, they weren't really tearing up the league at all. You've got problems at the quarterback position. Can you tell me what's going on with Deshaun Watson these days? Anybody?
I don't know that they can tell you for sure what's going on with Deshaun Watson these days.
They had the 16th ranked offense last year, 19th passing offense.
And
that's impressive compared to what I saw. And the issues that they had to overcome.
Because they used 16 different quarterbacks last year.
That's my point. The fact that they were ranked that highly offensively, that says a lot about them and their fortitude, because they decided to move on without him, and they did pretty well.
I mean, when Joe Flacco is sitting on his couch at Thanksgiving watching football and comes out of retirement.
Don't do that
basically.
Again. Not again. Are we still doing? He hadn't retired yet.
No, he's now with Indianapolis. He got a deal with Indianapolis after leading them to the playoffs last year.
He's a starter still?
No, he's not a starter.
No,
he's a backup in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's a starter, but. They got Jameis Winston as their backup now at Cleveland. But,
oh, yeah, that's good for us. I like that. I like that.
But Watson made just 6 starts last year, and that's been a problem for him getting on the field outside of his other problems off the field, which got him to Cleveland in the first place with a highly lucrative contract, guaranteed $230 million. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of threat they pose offensively. They led the league in giveaways last year. They were 32nd in the league in turnovers. They coughed it up 14 times on fumbles and 23 interceptions last year for a total of 37 turnovers last year.
And once again, the defense had to come to the rescue many times.
And the defense, though, gave up only 270 yards a game, and which was the fewest that an NFL team has given up in 9 years since going back to 2014 Seahawks. And it was Jim Schwartz's first year as a defensive coordinator there. And we've seen his defenses before, other places, namely Philadelphia, pretty recently. And they won a Super Bowl with him as the DC there.
So if you look at it, other than the Cowboys, well, not other than the Cowboys having to start 2 rookies on the offensive line, it's kind of basically the same offense, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like Tony Pollard lit up the league last year.
Not last year.
Running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys did score a lot of points, and they might have a better receiving core together than they had last year.
Talk to me.
Well, I mean, I think Brandon Cooks, having been in the offense for an entire year, and the connection they had consistently in training camp, and I'm not just talking about training camp practice, I'm talking about the Rams scrimmages. He took CeeDee Lamb's spot in those places, in those practices as the number 1 receiver, and they were cooking, by the way.
Right.
No pun intended. And I think Jalen Tolbert has taken another step, so we'll see what he's about.
That's probably what you're talking. That's the difference, right? Yeah, you're saying that he's the difference maker,
and
because those 2 guys, CD and of course Brandon,
by the end of the season,
more of them,
right,
because they did so well last year.
It's like people out there doing their fantasy football drafts right now, and I know how much Mickey loves fantasy football. But, okay, CD is like one of the top players picked, of course, okay? And then you got Brandon Cooks, who's way down the list, okay? And you don't see any mention of Jalen Tolbert anywhere. And so, so from a national perspective, or even just beyond people that have seen training camp and seen Jalen Tolbert out there, he's not on anybody's radar right now. And so 22 catches last year, 3rd year in the league, and hadn't done much at all. And their Cowboys are asking him to step up as their number 3 wide receiver,
and then,
which was Michael Gallup before.
Right. And then
that is going to be a step up. It should be a step up.
And then they seem really intent on getting the ball to Kevontae Turpin as a receiver.
Yeah.
And putting him in the slot in different situations, handing him the ball, throwing him the ball down the field. I just think that presents a problem. And remember, they also have a Pro Bowl tight end in Ferguson.
That's the difference maker for me this year. They already know about our wide receivers. They already know about Cooks. You say Cooks might be a little further down. I always looked at Cooks as one of the top receivers in the league because of his diversity. He can go to any team and get 1,000 yards.
And he's basically done that.
And he has. and so that's why I look at him as a little bit higher up in regards to his respectability. When you're talking about Tolbert, that's the X factor to me. But Ferguson is the man. He is no longer an X factor. To me, he is a consistent player, Pro Bowl, and just one of those guys that can not only catch, but he can also block.
Right, and better.
That's what I like
than his rookie year.
That's right.
And I would imagine they will use a lot of 2 tight end formations. Schoonmaker, I think, is on his way. We got to see it yet in real games, but he's not a bad blocker either. And one of the reasons why they ended up keeping the rookie free agent Brevin Span Ford. I got to get the name straight. Not Ford Span, right? He's a pretty good blocker himself, and I finally kind of ran across him out of uniform. He's a big dude. I mean, he's stout. So one of the things
everybody's a big dude next to you.
Well,
what are you saying, man? I mean,
when he's next to everybody,
you're looking up at everybody.
When
man.
he's next to everybody else, he measures up.
He is 6'6.5", 260 pounds.
See there?
Good size.
That's a big dude.
Good size,
right? And he's a pretty good blocker. And there's a reason why they kept him as the 4th tight end. So that tight end group adds to what this offense can do.
And we were here after the cut downs last week, but that's one of the things at the tight end position. The Cowboys made the decision to trade Peyton Hendershot to Kansas City and keep these young tight ends behind Jake Ferguson.
And one of the things I found out about Hendershot, he had lost a lot of weight for some reason, and he wasn't looking like a blocking tight end to help.
And you can understand why Kansas City was interested in him as a receiving tight end.
Yeah, they can get him downfield. By the way, they were no longer interested in Eric Scott.
Yeah, he didn't last long there.
He didn't last a week after they claimed him on waivers after the Cowboys let him go.
I tell you what, this is really going to be a really nice matchup.
It is.
Because you're talking about, even though they've got a lot of giveaways offensively, talking about the Cleveland Browns, you got Jerry Jeudy just got there. Mm-hmm. And the tight end that I really like also, just as much as I like ours, is Juco. Is that how you say his name? Njoku? With the Browns? Njoku. And that guy, I saw him a couple of years ago, and you knew he was going to be a stud. So, yeah, very impressive. We've got some good matchups, Diggs and the guys versus their wide receivers. Amari Cooper, a guy that I still miss to this day, as much as I was missing Zeke Elliott till he came back. So this is going to be a good matchup for our secondary.
And by the way, they're starting running backs out too, right?
Nick Chubb.
Chubb is out.
Nick Chubb. Yeah. So who's the next guy up?
Jerome Ford would be your starting running back. He started 12 games last year. Chubb, of course, only played 2 games last year. And so Jerome Ford is the guy. They've also got Deontay Foreman on their roster as well as Pierre Strong.
So the running back rooms are about equal. Because everybody's worried about the Cowboys' running back room. And I'll be interested to see how they hand out the snaps at that position. Don't sell Zeke short. I'm just telling you.
Going back to Ohio.
That's true.
Wow.
Yes.
Good one.
So I think he's got something, and not many people
Mick's
know.
early pick to click against the number 1 rush defense.
That's right.
In the history of football.
I
might go defense.
Yeah, I'll bet. But the thing about Zeke, his usefulness is the fact that he can get those tough 1-yard runs. Tough one.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of those.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So that's my whole point. I don't mean on 1st and 10. I mean like 3rd and 2. Okay, I'm not 2nd and 2. That's the one.
That's the old. You want to tell the story? Walt Garrison.
Walt Garrison story.
About Dandy Don.
Dandy Don. I don't know if I can get it right. It's like
Dandy Don was about Walt Garrison said, if it's 3rd and 2, he'll get you 3. If it's 3rd and 10, he'll get you 3.
Oh, man.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
Yep. All right, just getting started on this edition of Mick Shots. I want to know what happened on Labor Day because it was a work day here at the Star in Frisco. And we come back on Mick Shots in just a moment.
Miller Lite is brewed with great taste and only great taste.
The Miller Brewing Company would like to issue a correction. Miller Lite is brewed to be less filling. What are you doing here?
Miller Lite tastes great.
Look, I'm just reading the script. It says less filling.
That's not what my script says.
Well, mine says...
We'd like to apologize for the previous announcers. Miller Lite is in fact less filling and tastes great. Time to shine, legal guy.
Celebrate responsibly. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beer. 96 calories and 3.2 grams carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Fall is here, and that means football is back, bringing all the delicious game day foods with it. As you prep for all the big games, tailgates, and watch parties, let Yo Quiero be your one-stop destination for all things home gating. Yo Quiero's fresh, flavorful, ready-to-serve guacamole, made with real Hass avocados, will score taste bud touchdowns as you cheer on the Cowboys. Yo Quiero's wide range of mouth-watering and versatile products can be found in your local grocery store's produce or deli section. Grab some today.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Back to Mick Shots.
Rally Days presented by SeatGeek give NFL fans an experience of a lifetime the day prior to Dallas Cowboys home games on September 14th. Enjoy activities at Miller Lighthouse and get a behind-the-scenes tour of AT&T Stadium and more. Visit AT&TStadium.com/rallydays for more information and to get your tickets today. How's that?
I'm ready for Savannah and Dallas to pipe in and judge your reading.
Please come back. It wasn't exciting. Now it's exciting. It's an event now because you don't know how I'm going to do.
So that's September 14th. That's the day before the home opener against. We talk a lot about the season opener, but the home opener is against the New Orleans Saints. In fact, back-to-back home games on Sunday, September 15th and Sunday, September 22nd. You got the Saints followed by the Ravens. So just looking at the first three games here.
On a Thursday, right?
No, Thursday would be the next week at the Giants.
Next. I'm ahead of myself.
So just let's look at the first three games. Okay. And you got the next two at home against New Orleans and Baltimore and this Cleveland game. How tough is that start to the season?
Pretty tough start.
Yep.
And how important is it to get off on the right foot in Cleveland?
And you're thinking that because you've got so many young guys you're depending on, some of them playing their first NFL games or starting their first NFL games, this team can get better as you go along. You just don't want to bury yourself early in the season.
That's a good point. I don't look at this game as extremely important because it's such a long season. I don't want us jumping out there, getting full of ourselves, and then we start underestimating our opponent down the line. I want this team to have a sense of urgency every game. I don't care who they're playing, and I want them to be able to rise to the occasion, such as a road game that you might need, such as let's say you happen to drop one and you need another one on the road, and you go on the road and beat a damn good team. This is the kind I want them to handle adversity as well as better than I've seen them handle it in the past. That's what I want from this team.
Well, consider what the Cowboys. Now, last year we knew going in playing the Giants, the opener, that this better be a win, right? And it was, and it was a blowout
division game.
But it was against a Giants team that was rebuilding, and you should win that game.
Right.
Okay. Now this is a toss-up game going to Cleveland.
It's a great matchup.
It is.
Great matchup.
But you look at prior to last year, you had back-to-back season openers against a very good Tampa Bay team.
Yeah.
And you lost both of those, but you came back and got on a roll in one of those years, even after losing your starting quarterback, and your backup quarterback had to go 4-1 the next 5 games. And so, that's
the kind of adversity I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right. And so now the problem is in this stretch would be if you did lose at Cleveland, it's that Baltimore game that's scary in week 3 that you'd be on the road perhaps to a 1-2 start to the season.
And to me, that's okay. I mean, to me, that's okay. You're going to start off tough, but then let's see what kind of character we have.
Still got 14 games to play,
You got a
right?
lot of games to play. Let's just see how much trust we have in each other when we get down. And I know fans don't want to be tested that early in the season, but to me, that's the best time to be tested is early in the season, because you have a chance to make up for it down the line.
I look at it, if you're looking at the schedule, I look at the first 5 games and then the next 5. The first 5, it's at Cleveland, New Orleans, Baltimore, at the Giants on a Thursday night, and then you get a longer rest in between, then play at Pittsburgh. Okay? And I'm looking at you for sure need to go 3-2 there, and 4-1 would be ideal.
Of course.
Okay, 5-0 is ideal, but 4-1, because the next 5, you got Detroit, at San Francisco, at Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Houston. That's a tough stretch there. Those 5 games. So that's why I think it's imperative to get off to a strong start in September, because what you're staring at, that 5-game stretch, if all those teams are healthy, that's a very difficult stretch of the season.
That's what you get for winning the division.
Well, and once again, to me, it's no panic because I'd like to see what the rest of the division is doing. I don't expect them to be as strong this season as last season. I could be wrong, but I don't expect the NFC East to be that strong this season. And I would hope that we'll have a chance to right our wrongs as the season goes on.
All right, what happened on Labor Day here?
They practiced.
They did.
Helmets.
That's what you're supposed to do on Labor Day. You labor.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of us.
We always have.
Some of us labored in here on Labor Day. Helmets. It was a pretty extensive practice.
And it was their first time back here since Thursday? Were they off Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
They were off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they practiced Thursday out here. The 2 practices prior that were open to the public, Tuesday, Wednesday, they were like glorified walkthroughs, although they put the helmets on and jerseys on the second day. But I thought the key thing watching that practice on Monday was that everybody was dressed and practicing. The guys that had been out with nicks and bruises and sore knees or whatever, everybody was back in practice, including Brandon Cooks, John Stevens, along with DeMarvion Overshone. Damone Clark was out there, Israel Mukwamu, and Wanye Thomas. So we knew going in the 2 big injuries that they've got to cover. Sam Williams out, knee surgery. Deron Bland out with foot surgery. But other than that, all the other guys that they were kind of trying to just get them into the first week of the season were out practicing. So I thought that was important.
And anything
there was a number 21 out there, too, by the way.
Kalen Carson.
Kalen. How come he didn't pick 24?
I don't know,
What was he thinking?
I thought they were going to
got 24.
I thought they were going to give Zeke his number back. I wasn't sure.
Zeke wanted 15.
He wanted 15.
It was interesting, though, and I don't know if it was just that day at training camp or if he's still on his wristbands. He's got number 21.
Right.
You have to look. It's like underneath when it turned in. We noticed he still had a 21 wristbands on. But yeah, that's his college number, and so he wanted 15.
Yeah, but so Kalen Carson, again, he's going to start, and everybody's going, well, they're going to put Amari Cooper to his side. Well, what if you don't play sides?
Right. Do we have cornerbacks that can do that?
Well,
because it was always a big deal when it came to offensive linemen.
As much as I paid Diggs, he better be able to do it, right?
He should be able to.
But again, remember, he hasn't played in a game since September 17th. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, September 17th of last year.
And that could be an issue.
So that's kind of an unknown also, right?
It was just the same thing with Michael Gallup.
Right.
How well do you come off of that injury in your first year? And I never really thought about it much. I was blessed enough not to get that injured. But I don't recall, as I look back, on anyone having major problems coming back from that type of injury. I don't recall them having a ramp-up year after that. I don't recall that, but they very well could have. This is a new thing for me, like with Michael Gallup not coming off of that.
Well, Terrence Steele will tell you the same thing.
Okay.
He feels so much better now
the second year
than he did all last year.
Right.
And part of it, I think, is probably just a confidence thing. That you're not sure.
Oh, you got to be.
Yeah,
you've got to be.
You're always, it's on your mind, and then once you get through a full year of it, then you're back to.
These guys are so athletic. Sometimes they have to think, but do I want to try that move with this, coming off of this injury? And I was blessed enough to I didn't have to get injured, so I didn't have to think like that. But I would imagine having to think like that it can blow with your confidence a little bit.
I mean, after you have an ACL repaired,
do
you want to plant that foot?
Oh,
You know,
do you want to do those crazy moves that Michael Gallup was doing before he got injured?
Right.
Remember some of the more athletic moves that he was doing? You're like, man, I better not try that again.
Well, and then sometimes it gets publicized that it was an ACL injury, but there was more to it than just a simple ACL.
It always is.
And even with an ACL, they're not all the same.
Right, because you can also tear your MCL and you could have meniscus damage.
It's a lot of stuff off in there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff off in there.
Starting to sound like John Madden. I've got a lot of stuff in that knee.
So other number changes from the preseason. Ryan Flanoy is number 80. Brevin Spanford, he was wearing 47 in the preseason. He's now number 89.
Right.
So when you see 89 running out there,
that's who it was.
Yeah, the big 6'6.5", 260-pound college free agent from Minnesota.
And he kept the same number. I was going to say Nick Vigil on the practice squad, veteran linebacker, because I was sitting there trying to figure out, what positions they would have to elevate from the practice squad if you get two. And I wonder if they think about how much it costs them also, who they elevate. Like, because if you elevate a veteran, that weekly base salary is going to be more than a rookie free agent. Right?
No, we don't
You don't
concern
want to
ourselves.
count.
That's why we got the CD deal done.
And that's why you got
Okay,
$12 million.
You got more money to play with now.
Yes. All right, so we eliminate that. The hard part is going to be getting to 46.
Well, and you mentioned the linebacker. Okay, you got Vigil on the practice squad.
Right.
Okay, a veteran guy who would be a guy you would want up.
For a season opener, too.
Yeah, for a season opener type. And with the injury situations that you have at linebacker coming out of the preseason. Damone Clark was dealing with DeMavion Overshown as well.
Coming back from a knee and a hip pointer.
And then you got a rookie in Leofau.
A knee and a hip pointer?
No.
Clark was a...
Overshown was coming back from a knee. Okay. Remember, he tore his ACL.
I thought you had two. He had two problems.
Well, now he's recovering from the knee, right?
Okay.
But he had a hip pointer in training camp.
Man, you better be careful out there, kid. So my thing is this. I'm looking at Myles Garrett, 14 sacks.
Uh-huh.
So what's the difference between his 14 sacks and Michael Parsons' 14 sacks?
They're the number one defense in the league.
Okay.
That's why. Because there were others. In fact, I think T.J. Watt had 18 sacks last year. There were others with better numbers as far as their sack totals and so forth. I had the same thought. Okay, and Parsons had 14 sacks. Okay, so what set Garrett apart to win the Defensive Player of the Year award last year? And I think it was for the voters, it was as much a team award that the Cleveland defense was playing so well, and he was the best player on their team.
He does more than sacks.
That's
he
true.
Does more than sacks. He's one of the more heads up playmaking defensive linemen I've seen in a long time.
He had 17 officially, as far as the NFL count goes. He had 17 tackles for loss, 30 quarterback pressures, 14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles last year, and played 872 snaps. So he's on the field 80% of the time. And the other thing I was just looking through this morning, their front four, the sack totals across the board. Okay, he had 14. Zadarius Smith on the other side who by the way is a 3-time Pro Bowler himself, who's now he'll turn 32 this week. He had 5.5 sacks. They had another defensive end with 5 sacks, Alex Wright. Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive tackle, had 3 sacks.
Did they lead the league in sacks as a team?
They set a club record. They had 48 sacks, and they set a club record, which did not lead the league, I don't believe. But 48 sacks is a lot. Obo Okoronkwo had 4.5 sacks as well. I mean, they've got there's a half dozen defensive linemen who had around 5 sacks each.
They're putting a lot of pressure down.
They're
right. Surrounding the quarterback.
And that's not to mention they signed Quentin Jefferson, who is a defensive tackle who goes 6'4", 290 pounds, and he had 6 sacks for the Jets last year. They added him to that list.
And see, that should be the goal for the Cowboys defense, is to not just save your offense, but just control the entire game from your side of the ball. I've said it before, and Spags liked it so much, I keep bragging on it. But you can't depend. You can't have your defense depending on your offense. You just can't. You can't win a championship like that. We can't even win in the playoffs like that. So that needs to be a whole new approach that our defense needs to take this season. Control the game from your end of the field, from your side of the ball.
Okay, Mickey is over here studying some stats and his notes and everything just religiously, and I cannot wait I can't
let me throw
wait
this
to
out
hear
since
what
you
Mickey's
asked.
about to say.
They had 49 sacks last year.
Okay.
I think the Cowboys had
I was
48.
I missed by 1. I had 48.
Yeah. He did all of that studying, just ignored everything I was talking about, which was gold, by the way.
It was.
And he just, he's over here.
He got hung up on,
one.
okay, how many, so let's get this right.
Let's make sure.
Did you find out if they led the league in sacks?
They were, I looked
We're going to find that out, and we're going to be back with more Mick Shots from the SWBC podcast studio in a moment. That was
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Miller Lite is brewed with great taste and only great taste.
The Miller Brewing Company would like to issue a correction. Miller Lite is brewed to be less filling. What are you doing here?
Miller Lite tastes great.
Look, I'm just reading the script. It says less filling.
That's not what my script says.
Well, mine says.
We'd like to apologize for the previous announcers. Miller Lite is in fact less filling and tastes great. Time to shine, legal guy.
Celebrate responsibly. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beer. 96 calories and 3.2 grams carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Fall is here, and that means football is back, bringing all the delicious game day foods with it. As you prep for all the big games, tailgates, and watch parties, let Yo Quiero be your one-stop destination for all things home gating. Yo Quiero's fresh, flavorful, ready-to-serve guacamole, made with real Hass avocados, will score taste bud touchdowns as you cheer on the Cowboys. Yo Quiero's wide range of mouth-watering and versatile products can be found in your local grocery store's produce or deli section. Grab some today.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Back to Mick Shots.
Come shop at the Star in Frisco on Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Flea Style Market at the Star, presented by Maker Place by Michaels, featuring 50-plus local makers, offering art, fashion, home decor, jewelry, and kids' items. Market at the Star is always a favorite. Admission is free. Visit thestardistrict.com for more info.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm done with reading, guys. I stopped reading a long time. I stopped reading after Grambling. Jeez.
We need a text from Savannah right now.
How did Grambling do this week?
Not too well.
Okay.
I played University of Louisiana,
which is located in Lafayette. Used to be Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, it was
That's Billy Napier's old school. He may be coaching there again.
That was a tough road trip. It was a long drive.
Long drive.
To central Louisiana.
You got to bounce back this week, though.
3
right?
hours.
We're back in our own element. We're going to
who
go
you're
back
playing
to the
this
sweat.
week? Tuskegee.
That's right. Sure are. Yes, we sure are.
He'll be back on board right now.
All right, and
So
Mickey's.
We lost 40 to 10, by the
question,
way. We lost 40 to 10.
Cleveland was 6th in total sacks
Okay.
and 6th in sacks per pass play.
So they were 6th.
They were 6th.
Okay.
Solid 6th.
Who's number 1?
Baltimore had 60.
And we get them in week 3.
Miami had 56 and Kansas City had 57.
Wow. All right. This time of the year, people give out their preseason predictions on who's going to win the awards, most valuable player, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, all that stuff. I already have the Ed Block Courage Award winner for this year.
Who's that?
It's going to be Ricky Pearsall of the San Francisco 49ers.
If he gets back that soon, not only did the bullet go through his chest, it went out the back.
God. And he's going to be back by October. They're saying the reports now are that he's going to miss likely 4 games and he'll be back.
Okay. How lucky do you got to be to go in and out and not hit anything significant?
Vital organs, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Lord.
That's when you say, God is good. Mm-hmm. That's all you can say about that.
Good thing we got guns.
The other...
I couldn't help myself.
When you're talking about being out 4 games, there was a recent incident. It was 2 years ago. Brian Robinson, running back for the Washington Commanders, was shot in the knee and glute during an armed robbery. That was August 28th, 2022, and he missed 4 games. Came back. But he didn't have the bullet go through his chest all the way and exit the back of his body.
That's the best thing happened to him, I guess. Right? They didn't have to go in and get it.
Right.
Yeah. So there was no surgery involved.
But isn't there like a tunnel through there that you have to fix?
I'm sure we can talk about the convenience of the location all we want. The dude got shot, okay? That's just all it is to it. And he's coming back before Halloween. Come on, that's too soon.
He'll be back before Dallas plays San Francisco.
Oh, that's true. What was he, like a 3rd-round pick?
He was up into the first round.
End of the first, okay.
Yeah.
He's a big kid, too, if I recall.
He's an athletic wide receiver. Very athletic. Yeah.
I guess if you got a gun, you're a little braver.
And by the way, the other news coming out of San Francisco is that Trent Williams has now shown up.
Yeah, I heard about
that. Well, of course. He's not going to miss a payday. I try to tell you guys that. No one misses a payday, and Jamar Chase will be the next one.
That's why Everson shows up every day. There, right?
You got that right, Bill. That is the only way I'd be showing up here every day.
Now, he'll show up a minute before showtime.
Right, but I'm here. I'm here.
Or 1 game before,
right.
Or 1 minute before the show starts, right? I mean, I pointed out last week, that Summer Michael held out. He showed up on Thursday for the Monday night game.
Now, Emmett did miss 2 weeks.
He did.
No, that was legendary.
But he didn't have a contract. So
he had no choice.
Yeah,
so he got the same amount of money.
What he was missing
as it turned out, he got the same amount of money as what he would have gotten if he had played in those games.
If I'm not mistaken, right after he signed, then they gave Troy a raise, and he was already underpaid. So that was weird.
That's the quarterback.
That's right.
Quarterback gets the money.
And quarterback didn't have to hold out either. He was just like, hey, thank you.
That summer that Michael held out, there was 4 or 5 other starters who held out also. Everybody was looking for money after an 11-5 season.
And by the way, speaking of quarterbacks, at the end of it's funny how a holiday weekend puts things on the back burner because at the end of last week, after the CD signing, and then, when's the Dak signing going to happen? And then Dak talked on Thursday, and that got a lot of play. And now here we are. We're Tuesday of game week, And so what's going to happen here?
Well, I don't think anything's going to happen unless the other side says, okay, we don't need $60 million average a year. Because the difference between Dak and the young quarterbacks that got that money, they were only going into their second year of the
second contract.
Contract, right? So there was the ability to stuff prorated signing bonus into their last year, their fifth year. They can't do that. Well, they could do it with Dak, but he's already
there's money
$55 million.
There's already money stuffed there.
Right. They've stuffed it for 3 times. So he's got $40 million there that's still got to be accounted for beyond what they signed for. So that's what's holding this whole thing up. The fact that, and it dawned on me that next year, CeeDee Lamb, they're going to have to redo his base salary because his cap hit next year is going to be like $33 million. So take 33, and if Dak counts 60, that's $93 million out of 260 for 2 guys. And if Zach Martin is not playing next year, his proration from his restructures, $17 million for not being here.
Right.
And then DeMarcus Lawrence is another $7 or $8 million. And they're in the final year of their contracts, too. So are they going to continue to play, 11th or 12th season? Who knows? But it's going to cost. So you can keep restructuring base salaries and pushing it down the road, but at some point it catches up with you. And that's why the Dak thing is complicated. It's not as easy as, well, that's the market, you got to pay it. And Jerry's saying, well, I don't have to set the market price. This is what I can afford for my situation. So
is there a salary cap benefit to wait until after the season? And maybe that's too deep to get into in 1 minute.
Not so much, because you still need 5 years to prorate the signing bonus, right? Because if you did it now, you could say, "Oh, I'll put 1 year in this."
Like you're not doing a deal now in order to create more salary cap space now.
No, it's going to cost you. It won't. The cost next year will be for those many years.
Right.
And
he already counts so much against
$55 million
against the cap this year, and there's. It's not like you can hide. You can put some of that into this year,
right?
That helps you along for future years.
And then if you want,
because you need that money in order to sign players and stuff as the season goes
along. And if you
want
to prorate it, you really need 5 years. But he turns 32 next year, I believe.
Yep.
So is he going to play till 37? And those other contracts, just like CDs, that last year there's a huge base salary that's not guaranteed. So that blows up what the average is. If you take out the non-guaranteed last year, CD's averaging $30 million a year. Same thing as Jefferson, $30 million a year.
Okay, so there it is, Caponomics from Mickey Spagnola.
In 3 minutes.
There you go. All right, so much to get to tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. We'll be here at noon every weekday on Mick Shots. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you again tomorrow at noon.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!